So we're almost there. Now we're just going to go back to our activity filters component and use our new methods inside there. So let's open up our activity filters in this case. And what we're going to do inside here is we're going to get our activity store and bring this inside here. And what we'll need to do is, because we're simply returning JSX here on a single line, we'll need to add curly brackets so that we can add additional statements. And when we do this, we need to add a return statement. And let's just cut everything, including the parentheses, and paste it next to our return statement and just reformat. And then what we can do is say const root store equals use context, and we'll bring in our root store context. And then we'll just destructure our predicates and our set predicates from the root store dot activity store. And we've got 4 things we want to take care of here. These 3 menu items as well as our calendar. And whenever we click on any of these, we want to update our predicate. So we've got access to our set predicate method. And the all activities is going to be our default case. So what we'll do is, based on the fact that our predicates inside our activity store, whenever it's updated, it's going to be cleared and there's going to be no keys inside our observable map. So what we can do for our all activities case is we want to highlight which one is selected and which one is active. So we'll give this an active property. And in the case of its all activities, all we are checking for here is the predicate.size, and if it's set to 0, as in there's 0 keys been set inside this predicate. And then what we want to do is set the onClick equal to, and we'll add the arrow function inside here, and we'll say set predicates, and we'll set the key to all, and we'll set the value of this to true. And we're using strings for the values, even though this is a Boolean. This is what we're sending up as part of our query string. So I'm just leaving this as a string. The next one down, the one where it's I'm going, let's set the active property of this equal to the predicates. And what we can use, because it's an observable map, is we can check to see if it's got a key. So we're going to use the has, and the key in this case is going to be is going. And then what we want to do is add the onClick handler. And in the function here, we'll say set predicates, and we'll pass in the key as is going, and we'll set this to true. And the third one down, the is host, let's set the active property here equal to predicates dot has, and then say is host, and just reformat. And then in the onClick event, we'll set this and say set predicates is host, and once again we'll set this to true. So that takes care of our 3 menu items, and we also need to take care of the calendar in this case as well. And this one's slightly different. And the calendar that we get from React Widgets has an onChange event, so let's make use of this. And in the onChange event, we're going to get a date from this. And we'll use this to set our predicate, so we'll say set predicates, and we'll specify the start date equal to the date, and this could be null, so we'll set it to, we'll give it the exclamation mark. And then the value of this, we want to set this to the predicates.get, and then we'll get the start date, or we'll set it to today's date, and we'll just specify new date. So this is how we're dealing with our activity filters in this case. We're just setting our menu items, giving them the active property, and we're just using the set predicates in our onClick handlers. And all of the functionality and the logic for this is taking place in our activity store. So what we also need to do is make sure this is an observer, because we need to see the predicates observable so that these active properties function. So let's make sure we add the observer higher order components into our components, and we'll just wrap that around our activity filters. And then we should be able to go and test this functionality to make sure it's working. So let's go back to our browser, and we can see the all activities is highlighted here. And if I select I'm going, then we get the page refresh, and we can see all of the activities that Bob is going to. And all of these are ones that either we are hosting as Bob or going to as Bob. So that's fine. If I click on I'm hosting, then we just see the activities that Bob is hosting, and that's also fine. And we should also be able to select a date in this case. And let's just pick activities starting after the 15th of October. And we should find that all of these are starting, or in this case, the earliest date after the 15th of November is the 13th of November. And if I just click a slightly earlier date, then we start to see earlier activities. And we can also go back and get activities in the past as well. And if I just go back to a much earlier date, then we'll start to see our past activities in here as well. So that's working as intended. So there's just one more area that we're going to take a look at for filtering, and that's to deal with the activities that a user is going to, and we want to display them inside here. And we'll take a look at that next.